we've gone through the Raptors rotation. We've gone through the expectations for the Raptors rotation, what we think Darko might do, what I would do as far as the rotation is concerned. But in any rotation I've tried to predict, Chris Boucher is not at all involved. And it just kind of feels wrong because as much as I'm not a huge fan of Chris Boucher, I think there's enough talent there for him to be a rotation player somewhere in the NBA, particularly on some good teams who could use some size, some energy, and maybe a little bit of shooting sprinkled in. So I went through as many teams as possible, try and find areas in where Chris Boucher could thrive and what those trades could look like for the player. Here are 3 mock trades. This channel right here is Amateur Hour Clips, part of the Amateur Hour Production Network, where it continues to be all Raptors all the time. On this channel, we take the best segments from the live streams that we do over on the main channel, Amateur Hour Sports, and clip it into some bite-sized segments for you to enjoy. So, if you do enjoy along the way, make sure you do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel as well to stay up to date on all the content we have coming your way. Starting off with... So before we get into it, there's 3 trades I have in mind here. And there's 3 real different types of trades here. So, number 1 is using Chris Boucher to allow another team to salary dump to us and maybe pick up another asset on the way. Another way to do it is to package Chris Boucher with Bruce Brown to kind of salary dump as well, but you package him with Chris Boucher. The third possibility is a team feels like Chris Boucher actually offers something and the Raptors get some value in return as far as players are concerned. So we're going to go in that order. Starting with a salary dump. Pretty much straight up salary dump. So I won't lie. Going around the league right now, it's actually a bit difficult to come up with a sort of trade that you can make for Chris Boucher because there's just like not a lot of contracts out there right now. Chris Boucher is making around $11 million this season. Not a lot of teams are giving that sort of a contract. Like, we're really in the age right now where you're making the big star money or you're making like minimum money. Not a lot of these $10 million contracts. But the Raptors have the cap space right now as a result of the trade involving the Sacramento Kings where they're able to get rid of Sasha Vezenkov's money for nothing. So the Raptors could take a bigger salary dump. And a team, I think, that like my thought with this team is that they should try and be good as soon as possible. Like, don't be patient. Try and be good now. That team is the San Antonio Spurs. The San Antonio Spurs should try to not rush things, but Wemby is really good heading into his second season already. Try and build a good team around him while he's still on his rookie contract. And a way to help them do that is to salary dump Harrison Barnes, who just got dumped to them by the Sacramento Kings. Salary dump Harrison Barnes, open up that cap space for next summer. Next summer, the Chris Paul contract also comes off the books. Chris Boucher will be effective for a season, but get off that money for next season. The Raptors take on a first-round pick in order to make this trade happen, but I've got Harrison Barnes to the Raptors on his $18 million per year contract for 2 years. I don't think Harrison Barnes is a horrible player for the Raptors to use. He can space the floor. He can shoot. He's 6'8". He's got decent size. I think that's something the Raptors could absolutely use. Get a pick on top of it. I have the Atlanta Hawks first-round pick for the upcoming year. Could be maybe I'm stretching with that, but they have a bunch of picks. But essentially, a good pick plus Harrison Barnes for Chris Boucher. I don't think that's outrageous. I think the Spurs maybe think that there is an opportunity here with Victor Wembanyama on his rookie contract still and try to maximize that in his third season, get off this Harrison Barnes contract. I know he just got traded, so this trade will be later down the line, but I don't think it's completely out of the realms of possibility. This is the thought process for the Spurs, and this is their way of salary dumping. Now, as I said also, you could take on a salary dump in a trade that involves packaging Chris Boucher alongside Bruce Brown. This would cost bit more as far as assets are concerned, but the Warriors have been interested in dumping Andrew Wiggins. They didn't let him go to the Olympics, so they want to trade him. So take on the Andrew Wiggins money, package Bruce Brown with Chris Boucher. Maybe you get Gary Payton with it as well. But the essence of this trade is you're taking Andrew Wiggins, you're getting rid of the Boucher and Brown contract. You have to pay that Andrew Wiggins 3 years on $26+ million. I think that was front loaded. So I think it's descending. Anyways, it's a bit of money here for Andrew Wiggins for this trade. But if Andrew Wiggins can get anywhere close to where he was previously, he's a big wing defender the Raptors absolutely could use, and he can shoot. Definitely something where the Raptors can find value. He was dealing with injuries, personal issues. Can Andrew Wiggins get back to the player that was so effective towards helping the Warriors win an NBA championship? Perhaps that's in there. However, we have to recognize from a Warriors perspective, Andrew Wiggins is a negative asset. You have to pay us to take him. Bruce Brown helps them. Chris Boucher, with the size, can help them as well. There's a lack of size in the team. Chris Boucher can help them. So I think Chris Boucher and Bruce Brown help out the Warriors. We take the negative asset in Andrew Wiggins. I have Gary Payton for more salary matching purposes here, but it's completely possible that you can avoid putting Gary Payton in here. The penalty for giving us Andrew Wiggins is we get some picks. I put in a first for 2027, and I've put in a second round pick via the Atlanta Hawks for 2026. Don't think it's crazy value here. I think that this is one that the Warriors could think. We wipe our hands clean of the Andrew Wiggins contract. We can focus more on building around Steph Curry. The Raptors take a chance on Andrew Wiggins getting back to where he was, and they get some draft assets as well in return for that. I think that's something suitable for the Raptors to take on. You get value out of Bruce Brown and Chris Boucher, which you may not do over the course of the season. Final trade that I have here, and this is one that I floated around last season as well. It's the potential of the Oklahoma City Thunder finding value in trading for Chris Boucher. Two guys I have my eyes on that probably won't be in rotation for them much are Kenrich Williams and Ousmane Dieng. Kenrich Williams, good defender. Again, fits that sort of big wing defender that we need. I like Williams, and he can shoot. 3 years at $6.6 million. I don't know if the Thunder need to use that. I think he'd be effective for the Raptors out the gate. And Ousmane Dieng, after 2 NBA seasons, drafted relatively high, just hasn't really made an imprint. And for a loaded Oklahoma City Thunder team, there's not much of a role there for the player. So for me, the Raptors take on Williams, who I think helps him out the gate, and they get a bit of a flyer on Dieng to see if they can find some of that untapped potential. In return, the Thunder get some energy, and they get rebounding, which is something they could definitely use, alongside having maybe a little bit of extra shooting to the team out around Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Not a completely ridiculous trade, not a completely ludicrous scenario overall, something I could see going down. In the end, if I'm going to be completely honest, the reality is Boucher is a tough asset to trade, as showcased by the type of trades that I've had to come up with here. He's a difficult asset to trade. I don't see many teams really wanting to take him on. The likely scenario is he probably doesn't really have a role here this season. There isn't a big market of free agents out there, so it's not really justifiable to buy him out. The reality is Boucher is probably on contract for the Raptors for the rest of the season, and then he becomes a free agent. We open up that cap space. We open up money to pay Scotty Barnes at the end of the season. It is what it is. I've done my best here to find some trade scenarios. I think in a way they do make sense, but they all seem rather unlikely. Again, Boucher, whether you want to call it unfortunate or not, is probably here to stay.